This is the financial reality of private jets, where ownership quietly drains millions long after the purchase. Private jets represent status, speed, and control. But behind that image is a complex web of rising costs, hidden expenses, and financial pressure that most people never fully understand. 10. The purchase price. Everything begins with the number people see first: the acquisition cost. In 2026, buying a private jet can require anywhere from $3 million to well over $75 million. Smaller aircraft like light jets sit on the lower end, while ultra-long-range jets dominate the top tier. At first glance, it looks straightforward. Pay the price, own the jet. But the market has changed. Since the post-pandemic surge in demand, aircraft prices have climbed significantly. Supply chain disruptions slowed production, while wealthy buyers pushed demand higher. The result is a market where even pre-owned jets are selling at elevated prices. Some used jets now cost far more than they would have just a few years ago. So right from the start, owners are entering at a premium level. And that raises a bigger question. If the upfront cost is already this high, what happens after the purchase? 9. Annual operating costs. Owning the jet is only the beginning. Keeping it running is where the real financial commitment begins. In 2026, annual operating costs range from around $700,000 to more than $4 million depending on the aircraft size and usage. These costs include everything required to keep the jet functional: fuel, crew salaries, maintenance, insurance, and airport-related fees all add up quickly. Here is the part many overlook. These expenses do not disappear when the jet is not flying. Even if the aircraft remains parked for weeks, salaries must still be paid. Insurance remains active. Storage fees continue. Maintenance schedules do not stop. The jet becomes a constant financial obligation. It does not matter if it flies or not. And within these ongoing expenses, one category stands out for being especially unpredictable. 8. Fuel costs volatility. Fuel is not just expensive, it is unstable. Jet fuel prices in recent years have fluctuated between $5 and $8 per gallon, depending on region and global supply conditions. Now consider the consumption. Large private jets can burn between 300 and 500 gallons every hour. That means each hour in the air can cost thousands of dollars in fuel alone. But the real issue is not just the cost. It is the uncertainty. Fuel prices shift due to geopolitical tensions, refining limitations, and global demand cycles. A trip that costs one amount today could cost significantly more next month. So every flight carries a level of financial unpredictability. And while fuel drains money in the air, something else quietly demands attention on the ground. 7. Maintenance and unexpected repairs. Aircraft are machines that cannot afford to fail. Maintenance is not optional. It is constant and strictly regulated. Routine inspections, system checks, and component replacements already cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. But then come the major inspections. Heavy maintenance checks can exceed $1 million depending on the aircraft and its usage history. And there is another layer. Since global supply chains tightened, aircraft parts have become harder to source. Delays are more common. Costs have increased. Downtime has extended. Even when the jet is grounded waiting for repairs, expenses continue. Then there are the engines. Engine overhauls across an aircraft's life cycle can reach into the millions, making them one of the most expensive elements of ownership. So even a well-maintained jet carries financial risk. But no matter how perfect the aircraft is, it cannot operate without people. 6. Crew, salaries, and training. Behind every private jet is a team. At minimum, most jets require 2 pilots. Larger aircraft often include additional cabin crew. In 2026, experienced private jet pilots can earn between $150,000 and $400,000 annually. That alone is significant. But it does not stop there. Pilots must undergo regular training and certification to stay qualified. These programs can cost tens of thousands of dollars per pilot every year. Now add another factor. There is a global shortage of skilled pilots. Demand is high. Supply is limited. This drives salaries higher and creates competition among jet owners to retain experienced crew. Bonuses, benefits, and incentives become part of the equation. So staffing a jet is not just about hiring. It is about continuously investing in people. And once the aircraft and crew are secured, there is still a basic question to answer. Where does the jet actually stay? 5. Hangar and storage fees. Parking a private jet is far more complicated than parking a car. Hangar space is limited, especially in major global cities. High demand combined with restricted space has pushed storage costs higher. In 2026, annual hangar fees can range from $30,000 to over $300,000 depending on location and airport infrastructure. Choosing outdoor parking may seem cheaper, but it comes with consequences. Exposure to weather can accelerate wear and tear, increasing long-term maintenance costs. And that is not all. Airports charge additional fees for handling, parking, and ground services every time the aircraft lands. So even when the jet is sitting still, it is still generating expenses. It is a constant cycle. And protecting this high-value asset introduces yet another cost layer. 4. Insurance costs. Protecting a private jet is not optional. It is a requirement tied directly to risk. In 2026, insuring a private jet can cost anywhere from $50,000 to over $500,000 annually. The exact number depends on several factors. Aircraft value, pilot experience, flight regions, and usage frequency all play a role. At first, it may seem like a standard expense, but recent trends have changed the landscape. Insurance premiums have been rising due to increased claims, higher repair costs, and broader global risk exposure. When aircraft components become more expensive, insurers adjust accordingly. Now consider this. A high-value jet operating internationally carries significantly higher premiums than a smaller aircraft used domestically. More exposure means more risk, and more risk means higher cost. So even before the jet leaves the ground, there is a substantial price attached to simply protecting it. And while insurance preserves value in theory, the reality of ownership reveals something very different. CTIT. 3. Depreciation loss. A private jet is not just an asset. It is a declining one. From the moment it is delivered, its value begins to fall. In the first 5 years alone, many jets lose between 20 and 30% of their original value. Over a decade, that loss can reach 50% or more, depending on the model and market conditions. Even in a strong market, depreciation does not disappear. Some aircraft models retain value better due to demand and performance, but none are immune to long-term decline. This creates a quiet financial drain. While owners focus on operating costs and visible expenses, depreciation works in the background, reducing the aircraft's worth year after year. And here is the contrast. You are paying millions to maintain and operate something that is steadily losing value at the same time. It is a financial dynamic that few other luxury assets match. But financial loss is only one side of ownership. There is also a system of rules that cannot be ignored. 2. Regulatory and compliance costs. Private aviation operates under strict global oversight. Authorities such as the Federal Aviation Administration, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, and international regulatory bodies enforce detailed standards that must be followed at all times. These rules cover everything: aircraft inspections, maintenance records, pilot certifications, operational procedures, and safety protocols are all tightly controlled. Meeting these requirements is not free. Owners must invest in compliance programs, documentation systems, and regular audits to ensure their aircraft remains legally operational. And the regulations are evolving. In 2025 and 2026, safety standards continue to tighten, and environmental requirements are becoming more demanding. New reporting obligations and operational restrictions are being introduced in various regions. Fail to comply, and the consequences are immediate. Aircraft can be grounded, operations can be halted, financial penalties can follow. So ownership is not just about having the money to buy and operate a jet. It is about maintaining continuous alignment with a complex and changing regulatory environment. And just when it seems the costs have reached their peak, one final factor is rapidly gaining attention worldwide. CTIT. 1. Carbon emissions and environmental costs. This is the newest and fastest growing cost in private aviation. Environmental impact. Private jets produce significantly higher carbon emissions per passenger compared to commercial flights. In many cases, the difference ranges from 5 to 14 times more per person. That statistic has triggered global scrutiny. Governments, environmental organizations, and the public are paying closer attention to private aviation than ever before. As a result, new measures are being introduced. Carbon offset programs, emissions tracking systems, and environmental taxes are becoming more common in 2025 and 2026. These initiatives are designed to reduce aviation's environmental footprint, but they come at a cost. Owners may now spend tens of thousands of dollars annually on carbon-related expenses, depending on how often they fly and where they operate. And the pressure is not only financial. There is growing public criticism surrounding private jet usage, especially in regions where environmental policy is tightening. This can influence future regulations, potentially leading to further restrictions or increased taxation. So the cost of owning a private jet is no longer just personal. It is becoming part of a larger global conversation. And that conversation is still evolving. Private jet ownership in 2026 goes far beyond luxury. It is a layered financial commitment shaped by rising operational costs, market forces, regulatory demands, and environmental pressure. What appears on the surface as convenience and status is supported by a system that continuously requires time, money, and oversight. From acquisition to operation, from depreciation to compliance, every stage carries weight. If you found this breakdown insightful, like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more detailed insights into wealth, aviation, and high-level finance. Now consider this. If money were not a limitation, would the ongoing costs of owning a private jet still make it worth it?